Hey everybody, it's Matt Mayoko from NBC Sports Bay Area. Just wanted to bring you up to date on the De'Vondre Campbell situation. He's the linebacker, ninth year player, 31 years old, who the 49ers signed in the offseason to be the fill-in for Dre Greenlaw until Dre Greenlaw came back. And then it was pretty clear whoever the 49ers signed for that role was going to move to the sideline, to the bench, to a backup role once Dre Greenlaw came back. Dre Greenlaw came back on Thursday night. De'Vondre Campbell went to the bench. He did not like it. Therefore, he apparently told Johnny Holland, the linebackers coach, he wasn't going to play. Kyle Shanahan finally caught wind of that in the third quarter when the 49ers needed a backup player and De'Vondre Campbell was not available. So we're going to talk about what the 49ers do, what it meant on Thursday night, and where the 49ers go from here. But first, this video is brought to you by Canyon Club Brewery. It's a brewery, it's a beer garden, it's a restaurant located in Moraga, California. I'm sure many of the viewers of this have had their interest piqued about Canyon Club Brewery, and so maybe I will see you in Moraga Town soon at Canyon Club Brewery to sample their wide selection of beer styles as well as their menu items, and also Canyon Club Brewery coming soon to the Livery in Danville. Okay, so here's the thing. De'Vondre Campbell knew he wasn't going to start Thursday night against the LA Rams, but apparently he made the decision that he wasn't going to play. He was going to suit up, but he wasn't going to play. If he had made that decision before the game, 49ers would have elevated Jalen Graham from the practice squad to be in uniform to serve in a backup role. So I don't know what's going on there as far as what De'Vondre Campbell's thinking was, if this was a premeditated thing where he simply wasn't going to play, or when he showed up at the stadium, put on the uniform, and saw, in fact, that Dre Greenlaw had replaced him in the starting lineup, that he was going to play. I don't know. But here's the deal. 49ers had 65 defensive snaps in this game. Fred Warner went out of the game for one play in the second quarter, and it was D Winters who went in because apparently De'Vondre Campbell wasn't with his defensive teammates. He had disassociated himself from the rest of the team, and so Winters went in. Well, D Winters then had an injury of his own, and he was reduced or he was relegated to only 6 snaps in this game. The 49ers played mostly nickel, mostly their base packages with only 2 linebackers on the field because of the personnel that the Rams put out there. So Dre Greenlaw played 28, by my count, 28 snaps in the first half, 28 of the 30 snaps. He did not open the second half as a starter, but he tried to go into the lineup for the second series. That knee didn't feel right. It just felt a little bit weird. So, as a precaution, he went out. Well, the 49ers had to counter with Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, who's coming off a knee injury of his own and has been limited. And so, what happened? The 49ers were lighter in the box, and the Rams took advantage of that. In the first half of that game, Kyron Williams, their running back, gained 44 yards on 14 carries. In the second half, he gained 64 yards on 15 carries. So the rushing yards were there, much more available to the Rams. And the Rams were able to control the game because of having maybe a lighter linebacker in there, not necessarily a stack linebacker. In the second half, the Rams controlled the game to the point where they had a 17 play, 65-yard drive. 17 plays that resulted in a field goal. So for those 17 plays, it means the 49ers offense wasn't out there trying to get into the end zone. And as a result, the 49ers had, I think 102 consecutive games with a touchdown. That streak comes to an end Thursday night. They also gave up 3 consecutive drives where the Rams scored field goals. And on this night, that was enough for their 12-6 victory. 51-yard pass play from Matthew Stafford to Puka Nacua. That was kind of a blown coverage. Charvarius Ward was the man in coverage, but he was expecting safety help from the inside. But anyway, that 51-yard play led to another Rams field goal. And then late in the game, after Brock Purdy's interception, the Rams really kind of refused to give the ball back to the 49ers. A 13-play, 69-yard drive, again, ending with a field goal, moving their lead to 12-6, and the 49ers didn't have any time to respond. So on the conference call with reporters, Kyle Shanahan said that basically the 49ers, that De'Vondre Campbell is no longer on the team, but they're working through the semantics of exactly how to deal with it. He said, but you guys heard from me last night. You guys heard from our players. His actions from the game is not something you can do to your team or your teammates and still be a part of this team. George Kittle was very outspoken about uh, what De'Vondre Campbell did, call it a selfish act. Charvarius Ward also very outspoken. De'Vondre Campbell was brought to the 49ers to be a backup, to be a holder in that spot until Dre Greenlaw was available. And so it should have been a surprise to nobody that De'Vondre Campbell was moved to the bench when Dre Greenlaw was cleared to play. As far as Campbell's production throughout the season, what Shanahan said was he thought he had some ups and downs throughout the year. This is Shanahan saying, I thought he started off slow. I thought as he got more used to our defense and how we expect our players to play, he improved throughout the year. Now, Campbell came to the 49ers with some red flags. The 49ers thought they had a deal with Eric Kendricks. It was a verbal agreement. Kendricks ended up reneging on that deal and signing with the Cowboys. But even before Campbell signed with the 49ers, there were some red flags. The way he talked on social media about his time with the Packers. He talked about how he lost respect for a lot of coaches on the Packers. This was all on social media. He says, I tried my best to help the organization win, but it's hard to win when you aren't willing to evolve. When coaches aren't willing to listen to feedback that can make us better as a team, there isn't much I can do. All I can say is that I tried my best. So that's definitely a red flag whenever a player speaks about a former team like that and former coaches. So maybe the 49ers should have been forewarned about the kind of person they were getting in De'Vondre Campbell. So he will no longer be a part of the team. It appears to be very much a unanimous decision throughout the organization, from the locker room, coaching staff, obviously front office. So basically what they want to do now is just cover themselves as far as any potential grievance that Campbell could lobby against the 49ers. The most obvious move would be an outright release. They could also suspend him for conduct detrimental to the team, suspend him without pay. But 49ers certainly don't plan on paying him anymore. And so his time comes to an end after 14 games with the team. He started 12 of the first 13 games. The only game he didn't start for the 49ers this season was against the Rams, as the 49ers opened with a five-man line, and they played a lot of nickel in that game. So when De'Vondre Campbell did play early in the season, he was often exploited in nickel coverage because of his coverage skills and in the 49ers third down defense. So that's where it is. I honestly, haven't seen anything quite like this. I've seen players quit on the team or retire abruptly, but never refusing to go into a game in while suited up for a game and being healthy to play. Now, De'Vondre Campbell has not spoken on this, so maybe what the 49ers are trying to work through is if they would just want to take all precautions in case they release him, that he doesn't come back later and say that he was injured or something like that, where there can be a grievance. The thing did happen earlier this season. The Baltimore Ravens traded for Deontay Johnson, wide receiver, and he apparently refused to go into a game against the Eagles on December 1st. They sorted that thing out. The Ravens suspended him for a game without pay, and he remains on the team. So there is stuff like this has happened. It's rare. I think I said on the podcast it happens a time or two every season. It kind of seems that way, but I don't have very many examples of that. But Kyle Shanahan said that this is the first time that he's ever experienced that. And so, I mean, it really is a slap in the face to the coaching staff, maybe most specifically Johnny Holland, a well-respected, long-time lifer of a football man, former player with the Packers, who's in the Packers Hall of Fame, well-respected man in the 49ers organization. He's the position coach. He's the one who really takes the brunt of this. And of course, Shanahan said that he wasn't apprised of that. He didn't know what was going on until the third quarter when he got on the defensive headset and asked, "What's going on with De'Vondre Campbell? Why isn't he out there?" And he was told what the situation was. The Campbell said he didn't want to play today. Shanahan apparently went over to him and asked, and that was kind of echoed that he didn't want to play today. And at some point in the third quarter, he walks off the field. And to my knowledge, he was not in the locker room when the media came in. So apparently, he got out of Levi Stadium before the game even ended. So that's the situation. A messy situation for the 49ers on a messy night in which they lose to the Los Angeles Rams 12-6. So now the corresponding move, I would imagine, would be Jalen Graham coming back to the 53-man roster from the practice squad. And let's get the exact words. I think from what Kyle Shanahan said was basically after De'Vondre Campbell left the field, everybody went on with their lives. And so that's what the 49ers plan to do, or the final 3 games of the season, as they just try to keep this thing from falling off the rails. But it kind of feels like it already has. Thanks for tuning in, and that's it for now.